So I know that they get a bad name, a bad rep, but there are some good Nepo babies, right?
I have this whole paragraph. I made a list.
Okay, so yeah, so let's talk about some of our favorite Nepo babies
Well,
in the film industry.
first of all, I like Nepo babies.
I don't
I
necessarily
don't care what people say.
I don't necessarily like the concept per se, but I think that they tend to sort of work themselves out. Like the bad ones generally don't. The people who
Yeah,
aren't good at
I
acting or at whatever they're good at, like generally don't sustain their careers.
I just don't see the problem.
Well, I mean,
Like, am I going to not hire a plumber because his dad was a plumber?
no, I think it's the opposite. It's you're hiring the person because their dad was a plumber.
Well, maybe I just like the person.
Maybe.
It doesn't matter if
That's what
their
I'm
dad
saying.
was a plumber.
I feel like the people who make it are the people who end up with sort of an independent fanhood.
Get ready for this list.
Okay, let's do it.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Cage is the one that like sometimes people don't really know. He's like
Well, he's like a major one.
he's a major one that if you know you're like, yeah, duh, that's obvious. But if you don't know, you're like, wait a minute, what?
George Clooney.
Yeah.
And-
Can we go through there? So obviously Nicolas Cage is related to Francis Ford Coppola. What is he, his nephew or something?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's Clooney's deal?
Rosemary Clooney was his aunt,
Aunt, right?
and his dad was also, I think, involved in show business. Angelina Jolie.
Yes, of
Her
course.
dad's John Voight. Carrie Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom was Debbie Reynolds.
Yes.
And Carrie Fisher's daughter, Billie Lourd, was a standout in
Booksmart.
Booksmart. Queen Liza Minnelli.
Oh yeah, that's another one where sometimes you sort of age out of being a nepo baby.
She's Judy Garland's daughter. Drew Barrymore of the very famous
The
Barrymores.
Barrymore legacy.
Ben Stiller.
Oh yeah, Ben Stiller's another one where it's like we kind of grew up with him,
Mm-hmm.
but like Jerry Stiller was a big deal
And well, he was
in the
on
comedy
mute.
scene. Well, from the King of Queens,
Yeah,
of
King
course.
of Queens.
But you didn't really. It was almost like Jerry Stiller to me was Ben Stiller's dad because I saw the Ben
Right,
Stiller stuff first.
right.
You know,
So Jane Fonda.
Yep.
She's one that's aged out of being a nepo baby,
Without a doubt.
as far as public consciousness is concerned.
without a
But
doubt.
her dad, Henry Fonda, was the star of 8 Crazy Men.
No, not a crazy nice 12 Angry Men.
12 Angry Men.
We're gonna talk 8 Crazy Nights in this episode though.
We will. Michael Douglas.
Kirk's
Whose dad
son.
is Kirk, right? Mariska Hargitay.
Yep, of SVU.
Yep, her dad or her mom was Jane Mansfield.
Jeff Bridges.
I hear. Just let me go through my list here.
Okay.
Maya Rudolph,
Yeah.
whose mom was Minnie Riperton,
Mm-hmm.
who sang that song, "Loving you is easy 'cause you're beautiful." And at the end, you can hear her talking to baby Maya, at the end
yeah.
of the song, which is cool. Laura Dern.
Laura Dern's another one I feel like is kind of aged out because Bruce Dern is a little has aged out.
And her mom's Diane Ladd.
And her mom, yes, Diane Ladd. And
Mhm.
Laura Dern is just like she's one of those people that's just now just independently famous.
Right. Ron Howard.
Yeah, Ron Howard. I always forget about Ron Howard.
Yep. And he had a nepo baby himself, Bryce Dallas Howard.
He did.
How about the Skarsgårds?
All of them.
All of them.
Walter, all 12 of them.
All of them. Because their dad's Stellan,
Yep.
who was a big spoiler in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah, he's also in Thor.
He created what we know as the Stellan Skarsgård rule.
Yep. Which
If somebody shows up in a movie
and you're like, this
and you're
person's
like
way too famous.
to be in this role, they're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis actually is a nepo baby.
I think I knew that.
So like this is the thing. I have a ton more. But,
Oh,
like,
yeah, there's hundreds.
and I'm not even going into the like, oh, Maya Hawke and Lily Rose Depp. Like I'm not doing that.
We're talking Nepo babies
Like,
from like 20 years ago.
classics.
Yeah,
People that are legit famous right now that you did not know necessarily
right.
were nepo
That
babies.
it's not like their defining characteristic.
I
that
didn't
they're
know
Nepo
Daniel Day-Lewis was.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. His
Of
dad
course.
was famous.
And he just did a movie about his dad, too.
Right. The Gyllenhaals, Jake and Maggie.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes, she's also on my list. Tracy Ellis Ross.
Yeah.
Who's Diana Ross's daughter. Jeff Bridges. Yep, his dad was famous. Jennifer Aniston's dad was very popular in
Mhm.
like the soap scene. Jamie Lee Curtis, of course.
Well, yeah, there's people like that, too, who are not necessarily their parents were famous actors, but like Jonah Hill and Beanie Feldstein, their dad was like a light guy or so. It was like people
Yeah.
that are connected to the film industry.
Right. Although Jennifer Aniston's dad was an actor.
No, I'm just saying at as an aside, like also.
Jamie Lee Curtis's mom was Janet Leigh, Psycho.
Yes.
Melanie Griffith actually is
Really?
a Nepo baby, which means that our queen Dakota Johnson is a
Double Nepo baby.
grandbaby.
Yeah, Nepo grandbaby and a double Nepo baby.
Yeah. Yes. Sigourney Weaver.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Candice Bergen.
Well, now we're going back. Oh, actually, I did know Candice Bergen because I read it in the Oscar Wars book, which is
Mm-hmm.
behind me.
Mm-hmm. She's a she's in the Five Timers Club of hosting SNL.
Oh, really?
Yep.
The Fight and Miscongeniality.
She actually was just on the episode with Emma Stone because Emma Stone joined the club.
Mm-hmm.
Emma Thompson actually is one.
Yeah, see, there's so many.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you got a famous Angelica Houston.
Yeah.
Whose dad, John Houston, was a very famous actor. Helen Hunt.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. They're everywhere.
Oh, you want to go TV? How about Mark Harmon?
Mark Harmon. Oh, we're not just talking TV with Mark Harmon.
Oh, no. No, of course not. We also have Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
How about this one? Chris Pine.
Yeah, wow.
His dad, I think, was in Chips.
Yeah, and again, we're not talking Zoe Kravitz. We're not talking these people who are like...
We're not talking Zoe Kravitz, but we are talking Zoe Deschanel. Do you know that her
Wow.
and her sister Emily are Nepo babies?
Oh.
How about, you want to go old school? How about Alan Alda?
What about Nora Jones?
Yeah, Nora Jones, Rafi Shankar's daughter.
Yeah.
We got a Joaquin Phoenix action over here.
Yeah.
He's kind of a Nepo sibling.
Yeah.
And you could do Mark Wahlberg there too, because Donnie was famous first.
Yeah.
How about Josh Brolin? Dad James.
That one I think I knew.
You must, because his dad's famous.
Yeah.
And then finally, we're going to go with a little Cher.
I've got one for you too. This is one of the ones that is like a sort of a step removed, but actually no, it's not. Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, he is one.
He's the nephew of the creator of Party of Five and the director of Leprechaun 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Timothy Chalamet should be in a remake of the Leprechaun movies.
There you go.
Like let him be fun.
Well, here's my thing.
It's his legacy to be part of the Leprechaun series.
If you're such a hater of Nepo babies, like you're telling me that you don't think Jane Fonda is like this big actress and it's not fair because she got her foot in the door early. I mean, listen, politics aside, I know some people, my grandpa would not have. He'd been like, yeah, I hate Jane Fonda. But she has a Peabody. She has 2 Oscars.
We just watched that video with her and Lily Tomlin yesterday.
She has, she's got all kinds of stuff going on, all kinds of awards. She has a ton of 6 Golden Globes. Like,
this is just
a
us.
queen.
This is just us setting up our children to become podcasters.
So I'm team Nepo baby or not.
I'm not anti Nepo
it.
baby.
And we're going to talk about King Nepo baby today.
Yeah, we're leading into our Nepo baby family episode today. So yeah, so hopefully you have come away with us with a different perspective on Nepo babies, and if not, whatever, that's fine too.
Yep. Sports today.
Big time sports day.
I'm Erin.
I'm Tom.
This is Baby's First Watch List, covering a Can't Believe We Missed It movie this week.
Yeah. From the year I was born.
Yeah, it's 1992's The Mighty Ducks. I've never seen it.
Me either. Well,
I've never seen any Mighty Ducks adjacent.
I remembered the animated series, which apparently was like barely around.
I'll talk about that.
But I remember what's his name, Wild Wing or whatever the main duck was. I can picture him in my head.
This sports family movie was written by Stephen Brill, who's like super into the Mighty Ducks. He also was the coach.
Super into the Mighty Ducks.
He
made it.
Yeah, well, he wanted to be the star.
He did want to be the star,
and he also just did the new show that came out. Like he's like really kind of weirdly obsessed with the Mighty Ducks.
He knows where his cash cow is.
Well, I don't know because he also directed and co-wrote Little Nicky.
Okay, another classic.
He also directed Mr. Deeds.
Another classic.
And to get my second pop reference of the day in, he also directed Without a Paddle.
Oh, I saw that in theaters.
So did he, because when we went to Universal Studios, him and my grandmom did not want to see The Princess Diaries 2: The Royal Engagement during a rainy night, so they went to see Without a Paddle instead.
Were they scarred by it?
They liked it.
Oh, okay. So that was Dax Shepard, Seth Green, and there was somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Like Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah. The big three right there.
Well, they liked it. They were like, no, it's good.
That legit is like the big three of like awkward white guys from the early 2000s.
It's perfect. So the movie The Mighty Ducks was directed by Stephen Herrick, who also did Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Okay.
He did Mr. Holland's Opus.
Okay, so he's got a little less prestige than Brill, I would say.
He's
but.
also got some kind of like Emmy stuff going on with. He directed Dolly Parton's Coat of Many Colors. So that's pretty cool.
Is that like Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat?
So Dolly Parton was like, she grew up super poor, and her mom made her a coat, but it was out of all the scraps of things.
Oh,
so she took it as like a positive of making what you can out of what you have.
He directed. It was a miniseries. Or
I'm
TV
not
movie?
sure actually. It was TV.
Okay.
I think it was probably a movie. Yeah, you don't know about Dolly Parton's Coat of Many Colors?
No, I'm not really in the Parton-verse, to be honest.
You got to get right in. She's so lovely. The cinematographer Thomas Del Ruth is an Emmy winner ×2 for cinematography for The West Wing.
That's more than Jane Fonda or more than Lily Tomlin?
I don't know.
More than Jane Fonda.
Yeah. Lily Tomlin has, I think, 6 Emmys. So yeah, he was a big cinematographer for The West Wing, which starred Emilio Estevez's dad, right?
Yeah,
Martin Sheen's in it. And of course, the Sandlot / Matilda King, Thomas Newman of the Newmans, did the music, which I should have guessed.
No, he didn't.
Oh, I thought he did.
David Newman.
Oh, sorry,
Thomas Newman did Wall-E.
David Newman.
I was like, I think we just.
I
did
am
Thomas
so
Newman.
sorry, Tom.
Oh my God.
David.
We're known for our hard-hitting
Accuracy?
factual accuracy on this podcast.
Whatever. It's
so.
one of the Newmans, and it wasn't Randy. We'll do with that what you will.
Yeah.
Starring Emilio Estevez, Lane Smith, and young stars Joshua Jackson before his Dawson's Creek days, Danny Tamborelli before his Adventures of Pete and Pete / All That days.
I think Pete and Pete was before this.
Oh, it was
it in 91?
I don't know. He looked like a baby in this movie.
I'm verifying.
Maybe it was during the.
It
Pete
started
and Pete
in
days.
91.
Oh, well, it was at the height of his Adventures of Pete and Pete days. Jussie Smollett before
his days,
his Empire days. We're gonna say. And
Tamborelli had yet to be slimed at this point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
And many others. And this movie was set in Minnesota. It was also filmed on site in Minnesota, which is pretty cool. And it was released in October 1992. So you were just a little baby.
I was a wee lad.
And I was a little older.
I was younger than our son is now.
I was like, I'm almost 1. And they were like, whoa, you talk?
You know the concepts? You know numbers?
So with what isn't but what felt like a weirdly long runtime of 104 minutes.
Well, quick comment on the runtime. It's because they kept doing the same part of the story over and over again.
Okay, we get it. The Mighty Ducks was a success at the box office. It made $50.8 million on a $14 million budget. It also was a big success with home video rentals, but I don't trust what Wikipedia said about it.
Okay.
Because they were like...
What do you think, Stephen Brill put it into Wikipedia?
It was like Home Video Magazine said that, or Video Weekly Magazine in 1992 said that they got $54 million from home video sales. Okay, but it was released in October 1992, so there's simply no way, because it wasn't released to VHS until 1993, which I researched. And it was also in like literally the next paragraph. So I don't trust that.
So to any of our listeners who don't know that Erin is an English teacher, you can tell consider your sources that Erin practices what she preaches.
Yeah, exactly. So I just said here it was a big success on home video rentals.
It was.
I think that's probably fine.
I think that's probably how most of our friends saw it. Like,
yeah, I'm sure. Well, they weren't watching it
exactly.
in the movies.
That's what I'm saying.
It did not do as well critically. It has a sub 30% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ebert gave it 2, I think, which is
it's fair.
Fair.
But audiences liked it much more.
Yeah.
And so when you pull audiences, they gave it a much higher rating.
Which that also tracks.
Yeah.
It's a crowd pleaser for sure.
I liked it.
Yeah.
2 sequels, D2 The Mighty Ducks and D3 The Mighty Ducks, were released.
Why did they do that?
Name it like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I find that strange. as well as an animated series in the 90s that you referred to.
Do we know how long that ran for?
Yeah, we do. 2 years.
Oh, I thought it was even shorter than that.
97 to 98, I think it
Okay.
was. And a live action series just a few years ago, which also was canceled after 2 seasons. The animated
Gotta
series.
keep the legacy going.
I guess so. The animated series contained a sci-fi angle with anthropomorphic hockey
They
player
were real
ducks.
ducks, yeah.
They were ducks that played hockey.
Yeah.
Here's some of the cast. Ian Ziering from Beverly Hills 90210. He spells his name Ian, but
Okay.
it's pronounced Ian, just so you know.
Ian Eagle, the sports commentator, does too.
There you go. How about that for a name?
Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad
or Eagle.
or Eagle. That's kind of cool. Brad Garrett.
Always. I feel like he's in every like old 80s and 90s animated show that you didn't.
Guess who else was? Tim Curry.
Oh yeah,
He was like one of the main villains.
Yeah.
Dennis Franz.
Yes, of NYPD Blue fame.
And Jim Belushi.
Wow, that's a good cast.
All provided voices.
Disney ponied up for that cast.
Yep. In the Disney Plus show, The Mighty Ducks Game Changers, that was developed by Stephen Brill, the writer of the original movie.
I am the Mighty Ducks.
It starred Lauren Graham and Emilio Estevez, who in the show was now, quote, the despondent owner of a low-level ice rink. A year after the film, Disney bought an NHL hockey team, the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim.
I got some on that later.
And they were around from 1993 until 2006.
Yes.
There is a team called the Anaheim Ducks now, but they are not owned by Disney.
They were sold.
Yep. There is also a podcast dedicated to the series called The Quack Attack.
That's not surprising.
I have like a super quick NJ connection.
Yeah, let's do it.
So 3 of the players, including Danny Tamborelli,
DT.
they're from New Jersey.
Yes.
So you don't get the Mighty Ducks, the team, or the movie without good old New Jersey. And we have a close to New Jersey connection. What is it?
That the goalie's from Philly.
Yeah. And he always references all these Philly things that we know.
What was the shirt he was wearing?
Well, he wore an Eagles shirt.
He wore an Eagles shirt, but then it was a Pat Steaks.
Yeah, Pat Steaks, which
like
is
the most
very,
touristy.
very clearly the person was not from Philly.
Absolutely. He never would have had it would have been like a tasty cake.
It would have been, tasty cake. Maybe you even get into the boost. How about a Tega boost? That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. So that means when you're thinking the Mount Rushmore of New Jersey, you're thinking Shaquille O'Neal, you're thinking like Queen Latifah, Jack Nicholson, DeVito. One of the other candidates has to be Danny Tamborelli.
Well, he was, for us, very much a Nickelodeon king.
Yeah, figure it out. Was he on all that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. So he did like all those like shows. He did all like the little shows that they would do, the little presentation shows. Anybody who grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s, you probably know DT.
You definitely do. So there you go. Give us your synopsis. I'm scared.
It's very, very brief.
Same thing
it's
over
very,
and
very
over
brief
again.
because most of the movie is the same thing over and over again.
Same thing over and over again.
Gordon Bombay, played by Emilio Estevez, is a hotshot lawyer, and he's haunted by memories of his childhood when, as the star player in his champion hockey team, he lost the winning goal in a shootout, thereby losing the game and the approval of his coach. It was also sort of intertwined with the fact that his dad had passed away, and sort of that's hanging over him for his whole life. And now, as a lawyer, he's win at any means, win at all costs, and being mean to people, and he's a very slimy defense lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
After being charged for drunk driving, the court orders him to coach a Pee Wee hockey team. They actually ordered him to do 500 hours of community service, and he ended up coaching a hockey team, the worst in the league. Gordon is at first very reluctant because the kids are just awful. He just wants to win. He tries to take some of the sort of strategies from his old coach, who he ends up facing.
Cheating.
The Hawks crushed them 17-0 in the first game. Eventually, he gains the respect of the kids and teaches them how to win, gaining a sponsor on the way in the form of his boss, Mr. Ducksworth, and giving the team the name of the Ducks. Of course, they go through their trials and tribulations. They sneak into the playoffs. They make the playoffs. And who do they face in the finals but the Hawks?
I did not know how they made the playoffs.
Neither did they. We didn't see them win a single game before they made the playoffs. Before
That's
that last game. In the finals, they face Gordon's old team, coached by Gordon's old coach, giving Gordon a chance to face old ghosts. And, of course, the Mighty Ducks come out on top.
They win.
So again, very brief summary.
That's good. That honestly, that's like pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah. There was like Hans was in the movie.
Oh yeah, that was like
Remember,
his old mentor guy.
one of
or
my
whatever.
questions was, what is the point of Hans in the movie?
No idea.
And then I just put, remember him?
Yeah, barely.
He's like the
He's got like a very pronounced chin.
he's the connection from Gordon to his dad because like he knew his dad and
You're kind of like that father figure.
he was there when everything happened. He has all the newspaper clippings. He's like a old dude obsessed with the Mighty Ducks.
Well,
or
maybe
obsessed with hockey in town.
that provided inspiration for Gordon to then be a mentor to Charlie, and then also to date Charlie's mom.
Oh yeah, he dates Charlie's mom. Good for them, you know.
Yeah, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah, and there's like they show the same like 3 fans over and over again,
Yeah.
and it's her, it's Hans is in it a couple times
And
in the
then
crowd.
it's the like 2 guys' dad.
The dad of Jussie Smollett and
The guy from The Sandlot.
the guy from The
The
Sandlot.
pitcher from The Sandlot.
Yeah,
So this has a very kind of reminiscent of other movies kind of premise, which is bad guy forced to become a coach and discovers the true meaning of teamwork.
yes.
What are some other movies that you've seen or that you know that have that storyline?
Can we parlay this into a sort of why do they keep making movies with this concept
Sure.
thing? So okay, so we have a few right off the top that we already talked about off mic, which are 8 Crazy Nights,
Yeah.
which we've talked about, where Adam Sandler literally his character. It's an animated movie. His character gets literally charged with drunk driving
Yeah.
and ordered to coach. Is he coach a basketball team, or he just has to do
He's
some?
a ref, I think.
He's a ref. He's a ref, and he ends up the same thing, learning the spirit of Hanukkah, the whole thing. We have Champions, which came out in 2023.
Which it's kind of funny because the Mighty Ducks was called Champions, I think, in Australia.
It was, and I think that Michael Eisner said the original title for D2 was D2 the Champions.
There you go.
Um,
Now, talk about a too long movie. Champions was way too
my
long.
lord, Woody Harrelson, Caitlin Olsen from Always Sunny,
Mhm.
and it's kind of the same thing. He has to coach a basketball team and learn the spirit of treating people the right way.
It's cute.
It is. It's fine. They're all of. I mean, 8 Crazy Nights is what it is, but
That's a technical foul.
yeah. There's go listen to our or don't.
Yeah,
We did an
don't
episode
bother.
on 8 Crazy
Don't
Nights.
bother.
It made baby's first watch list, like every movie has so far.
that was tentative, but it happened.
Yeah, that's because we're running with the concept of every movie. making.
Exactly.
Also, Hardball, 2001's Hardball, sort of a lesser seen Keanu Reeves movie.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, like, I feel like everybody who's seen it knows exactly, like, they're like the Big Papa scene,
Yeah.
the G Baby.
Mm-hmm.
He gets like shot in front of the apartment. Spoilers of in Hardball. But yeah, no, it's good. It's another one where he has to coach a baseball team. It's like inner city Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and he needs to learn how to not be a mean guy.
Yep.
And it's good. Hardball's good. Watch Hardball. You don't need to know the spoiler doesn't matter.
I've never seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw it in theaters. I was 9. I was way too young for that movie.
You don't know though,
I went with my cousin.
Yeah, okay.
And so those are the ones that I have, but do you have others?
No, I just
Okay.
feel like every movie's like that.
Well, when I looked up the Roger Ebert review, he mentioned that so those are all after
Mhm.
Mighty Ducks. Ebert, when he wrote his original review in 1992, mentioned 4 other movies that have the exact same
Well,
plot.
there you go.
Baseball, Bad News Bears.
Yep.
Football, Wildcats.
Okay.
Basketball, Hoosiers.
Oh.
And even hockey, Youngblood. So
There you
this has been like decades of this exact same plot in all these different movies. Why is that?
Well, that's the real question. Why do you think that this storyline is so compelling?
Well, I think part of it is we like watching charismatic people like get taken down a peg and then brought back up
Mm-hmm.
because we like a redemption story.
We like a redemption story. We like an underdog story.
Yeah.
So when the team's bad to start, but there's potential, like we like that.
Yeah.
And then I think we also like to see like kind of guys that are or gals that are tough but with a heart of gold.
Also, none of these are women.
No, of course
Now that
not,
I'm
but-
realizing.
Like they're tough guys and they have flaws, but underneath it all, they're really nice. That I think that's like a common thing.
Well, and I think the ones that work better are the ones that cast the actors that can show that a little bit better. Like Eight Crazy Nights, Adam Sandler has the capability of it, but the movie is just so mean-spirited that it
Right.
doesn't really
Right.
it doesn't really land as much. But like Hardball and Champions, like Keanu and
Woody
Woody
Harrelson.
Harrelson, at least Keanu for sure, like I feel like is a good guy. I don't know like enough about Woody Harrelson to say one way or the other, but like Keanu Reeves, as far as I know, everyone who's ever said any word about him like says he's a sweetheart. So like you can see that underneath the surface of him playing a rougher character who's like a gambling addict, like whatever he is in that movie.
Right.
And then I mean, Bad News Bears. I'm thinking of the remake with Billy Bob Thornton.
Wasn't the original the Burt Reynolds?
No, that's The Longest Yard,
Oh.
which is similar. The original Bad News Bears was Walter Matthau,
Okay.
who I don't know that much from, but I think he was in Grumpy Old Men.
King.
But yeah, no, I think a lot of it is just that. It's that we like our star. We want our star to succeed. And the kids, if
There's
the
always cute kids.
there's cute kids,
Precocious.
some of them are better actors than others, of course. But I mean, in this one, there's like a never-ending squad of kids. Like I couldn't name all the Mighty Ducks. In this
Yeah, I
movie.
don't know.
There's like 12 of them.
Yeah.
And at least in a movie like Hardball, like they focus on like 5 kids.
Yeah, here they were like everyone had like one line.
Yeah, and then there was the figure skater girl who came in.
Who
randomly.
is she?
Who are you?
Tammy. Her name was Tammy. And I think her brother was Tommy. I think it was Tammy and Tommy.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's like, what? And then there was Connie. I'm like, what's Connie doing
It's
here?
very backyard sports.
yeah.
Backyard football, backyard
Yeah.
baseball, soccer.
So does this film deserve its dismal critical reception?
If you're coming at it from a perspective of this movie's doing absolutely nothing new, and there are other movies, it's not even like it's reinventing something or bringing something back. Like it was probably one in a slew of these types of movies
Yeah.
that came out at the same exact time that wasn't as good as say The Sandlot, or wasn't as like well received as like The Sandlot, or even like an older one, like a more mature one like Field of Dreams or something like that. Like it's not doing anything new, and it's coming after all these other movies that have done the exact same thing. So I could see that, but watching it in isolation, I think it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
I think that Estevez is good. He does a good job playing both sides of the character.
Even though the lawyer stuff is so fake.
The lawyer stuff is hilarious. But the kids are good too.
They are good.
You know,
They are good.
They don't like necessarily knock it out of the park, but like
No, but they're good.
everybody hits their points. They hit their plot beats. They're good in their roles. We have Foggy Nelson from the Daredevil Netflix series in here as the big kid with the that shoots through the car windows.
Yeah.
Everybody plays their part, and I think it was done pretty well.
I agree.
I don't have any like real issues with the movie.
I don't think it's good.
No,
But-
I mean, it's not like you're gonna be like, oh my god, you gotta watch the Mighty Ducks. It's so good.
Right. But it's cute
Yeah.
and it's inoffensive. Like it's not.
Actually, I think there's multiple people listening to this that are gonna be like, no, the Mighty Ducks is so good.
It's not. But like that's fine. Like you can think that.
Yeah.
And then guess what? Then you can wear the jersey and it's cool.
The jerseys are cool.
The jerseys are really.
I
cool.
love those like green jerseys.
They
were green, right?
Yeah. They're first of all they were really expensive. You could tell.
Yeah.
Like Ducksworth, he put
Ducksworth is
a
not-
lot of money into it.
Because he wanted to frame it and hang it in his office.
Yeah, he framed it, and I'm like, they haven't won a single game. Like, what are you doing?
Shows how out of touch he is.
But maybe it also shows that he. I mean, I don't know.
Also,
he
green
seems
is the
like a
color of
villain.
money.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, but I liked that color.
Me too.
I thought it looked good. So yeah, does it deserve its bad critical reception?
No.
Yeah, probably.
No.
But-
I really don't think it does. I don't think it deserves what, like 23 or whatever.
No,
it is?
I know. I think it would be more of a 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you think then is the best thing about this movie, and what do you think is the worst thing about this movie?
The worst thing about this movie, I'm going to start there because you want to lead with negativity and build with positivity, like this movie
okay.
does. I'm going to say that the worst part about this movie is the fact that they keep saying the same things over and over again the entire
Very
movie.
repetitive.
They keep talking about the shot that he missed, and like the fact that his dad passed away, and the fact that like it's just nonstop every
They
time.
show it and then they tell it and then
Yeah.
he tells somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's the show don't tell, but this is show and tell and show
tell
and
again.
tell.
Like,
That was like it was like, why are we doing this again? Why does he have to say the whole story again to Charlie after he talked to Hans about the entire story already 15 minutes ago? But on the other hand, I will say that the best thing is honestly I love Emilio Estevez in this.
he's really good.
He's great. he has so much Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen in him.
He looks just like his dad.
Some of his Charlie Sheen actually was offered the role first,
Hmm.
and he said no. Which Charlie Sheen would have played the earlier Gordon Bombay very well. I'm
Yes.
not so sure about the later, the reformed version, but Emilio Estevez in this, I think he's got the heart, because you see him in Breakfast Club, you see him in those types of movies, and you could tell he's a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a movie that doesn't call for that much, but he adds more into it than I think most actors would have.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably my favorite part of the movie, and I like the hockey scenes.
Yeah, that's good. To me, yeah, the worst part of the movie is that it's just like the same thing over and over again, and that's like it gets like super repetitive. But I like how 90s it is.
Yeah.
It's very much of the time, and I love the outfits. And
You loved Charlie's mom's hat.
that was a terrible hat.
It's like this red, like bowler kind of.
So bad, like for no reason.
She wears it like 3 times.
And I like a movie that like became a franchise. Like that's fun.
I love that. This is the only movie, right, that has ever spawned something like that.
I mean, I don't know.
Eisner said this was market research for a hockey team that they were planning on
It
making
was so cool.
beforehand. So he was like, all right, we'll put out a hockey movie, just see how it does, and then sort of we'll go from there.
Yeah, well, it worked, and
Yeah.
I liked it.
I have more about that later.
I actually have 2 questions left.
Okay.
Why do you think you missed this movie as a kid?
I missed this movie as a kid because I grew up in a house where I was the youngest by 10 years.
Mm.
So everything that my parents and my brother weren't exactly in touch with what the kids of 1996, 1997 were watching. The kids, because my brother was like 15, 16. So I didn't really watch this. I wasn't into much live action stuff either.
Mm.
I was watching a lot of Cartoon Network and a lot of Nickelodeon. I guess at that time, like Nick Jr.-ish type stuff, where I never really got exposed to this. I was more exposed to, in the movie vein, I was watching more Disney stuff, more like a little bit of Lion King, like Little Mermaid, like stuff that I didn't really watch until I was way older. Land Before Time, I watched a lot of around that time period. I wasn't really watching, like, even when I got a little bit older, I wasn't watching the Disney Channel stuff. I just wasn't really into live action stuff when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is probably because my parents and my brother were so much older than me that I mean, obviously my parents were older than me, but like I wasn't growing up with a certain, like the same stuff that everybody else was watching, which is probably for better and worse.
Yeah, sure.
Because I missed a lot of the jokes, a lot of the references from a lot of these movies that we're sort of catching up on. Even like Princess Diaries, like stuff like that I feel like I probably should have known a while ago.
Yeah.
And had seen a while ago because everyone's seen like those types of movies. But this is one of those things for me that slipped through the cracks. And I'm glad I came back and watched it.
Yeah, me too.
Because I liked hockey even like when I was 10, 11. And I always liked the idea of the Mighty Ducks. And I was like, why Anaheim? Like, why are the Angels in Anaheim too? Like, what's going on here? But I never really went back to the source.
Yeah. I think I missed it. I don't know why. Because I watched all that kind of stuff. Maybe because I thought that when I was around the age to start watching it, that's when the animated show was out.
Yeah.
And I thought the ducks were weird. And so it's like, why would I watch the movie? I think that's probably why.
I'm going to be honest. I thought that the Mighty Ducks movie was animated for a long time.
There you go. Well, then I might have thought that too. And why would I want to watch that?
I also didn't realize, I just looked it up now that I thought about it. I never knew that the Anaheim Angels were also owned by Disney.
Makes sense. Angels in the outfield.
Yeah. They weren't created by Disney, but they took control of the team in 1997.
That's cool.
Yeah.
My last question. What is the funniest or most iconic thing about this movie?
Okay. You know what we're going to talk about
The
here,
limo
right?
driver.
So, Gordon Bombay's chauffeur,
Mm-hmm.
he's in like the first scene when they go out onto the ice lake with the kids when he like sees how bad they are at hockey. And
It's just some random guy.
he's just some random dude, and he doesn't. Maybe he was around for the whole movie, but I didn't notice him again until they were at the Dallas Stars Stadium,
Yeah.
which they just randomly took a trip to Dallas with all these kids from Minnesota.
So weird.
And he's just there sitting on the ice with them, like in a chair on the ice with them. And then he's in the rest of the movie.
I got so confused.
He's like cheering with them. He's like slipping on the ice. Like he's tackling.
He's wearing like a leather jacket. He's pouring ice on Emilio Estevez's character.
Yeah, he's
What
giving
are
him the
you
Gatorade bath.
What are you doing here?
We don't know who you are.
Like, he's not funny. He's not.
He doesn't have his own like scenes or jokes.
There's no like catchy thing he says.
The only joke was when he was like body slamming the one kid outside the limo. When they were all like brawling.
Yeah, like, okay. But then he didn't appear for another hour.
Yeah, or at least he didn't make his presence felt for like another hour.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, like dance. I'm like, what?
But anyway, that guy's iconic. What's his name?
I don't know.
I gotta find this actor real quick.
Because I'm like wondering, like, oh, was he like a comedian? I didn't recognize him.
I have no idea who this man is. Let's see. Yeah, I can't even see him on the... I don't even see him on the...
Who is this?
Is it Lewis? I don't know.
He's just this mysterious man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The Quack Attack podcast, which we mentioned earlier, had a whole segment about whether Lewis the driver was on drugs.
Oh my god.
So the actor's name is M.C. Gainey. I know him from... He was in Tangled, Django Unchained. I know him from Lost.
Okay.
He was on Lost. He was in Con Air. He was in Sideways. He's just a character actor.
Okay, well, what? Why was he there?
I don't know, but Mighty Ducks was one of his earlier roles.
There you go.
So without Mighty Ducks, we may not have seen him in Sideways and Tangled and Lost.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's by far the most iconic part of this movie.
Easily.
That and the green jerseys.
Yeah, they're so cool.
All right. So we had a question request, and if you've been listening to us for a while, you know that we're not like super well versed in sports movies in general. But we were asked the question, basically like to go through our favorite chants or slogans, or we can open it up to quotes from sports movies. So if we're gonna open it up to quotes or whatever, some of them, like this one, is the quacking.
Yeah.
Quack, 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 quack.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid.
Yeah, it was. And there's like some of the stuff from like Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
And
Shake It. Go, we are the Titans.
Yes, the Mighty Mighty Titans.
Mm-hmm.
We have Shake and Bake.
Yeah.
From Talladega
Nights,
which might be my favorite.
Yeah.
Wasn't there one in Blades of Glory too?
Maybe.
Does anyone remember Blades of Glory?
I saw it.
I saw it too. Didn't love it.
No.
What
about like Rocky drinking the eggs?
That's a great like trope.
But it's not a slogan.
No, wax on, wax off.
Oh yeah, Karate Kid.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's up there for me because I want to give Cobra Kai a shout out.
What else?
You're gonna eat lightning and you're gonna crap thunder from Rocky. That's one of the quotes.
Okay, no, that's not a slogan.
I said our quotes. That's the whole point of opening up the quotes because I don't know if I have that many slogans. Yeah. So what are your favorites?
I don't really know. Shake and bake's good.
Shake and bake is perfect because
first you shake it and then you gotta bake it.
Well, it's great because it sort of symbolizes their breakup too.
Yeah.
In Talladega Nights.
Yep.
It like weirdly has a connection to the plot and the.
I mean, Talladega Nights is like my favorite movie. I don't know what you're.
It's
saying weirdly.
It's one of the best. It's definitely one of the best sports movies of all time.
It's so good.
As I just said, I haven't seen that many sports movies.
The most iconic one is If You Build It,
He Will Come.
He Will Come.
Yeah.
From Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what does that mean? And it ends up being this weird thing.
Yeah. His dad is like an old
very
baseball player.
Existential.
Yeah.
Kind of magical realism. And then there's like weirdly like all these like communist subplots.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Field of Dreams is a weird one.
That's a weird movie.
Yeah, we got Just a Bit Outside from Major League. He says it like 10 times when they're like getting destroyed. That's
fair. How about like in Miracle when Kurt Russell says like, go out there and take it at the end? That's it's an iconic speech.
Yeah. Any Given Sunday has an iconic speech by Pacino.
There you go.
There's no crying in baseball.
Oh yeah, League of Their Own.
There's no crying in baseball.
Yeah. How about Anything from the Sandlot, like forever.
That's probably a slogan. That counts as a slogan, I think.
That's a good one.
I Must Break You.
Oh yeah.
Drago. I'm gonna say the one of my favorites. This is gonna be the when it plays on TBS version of this quote.
Okay.
The price is wrong, geek. When
Yeah.
Adam Sandler punches Bob Barker in Happy Gilmore.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so that's a few. We feel free to add your own if you have any, because like I said, we're not the biggest like sports movie aficionados, but hey, that's part of the reason for this podcast.
Yeah.
That's why we're picking movies that we haven't seen before like this sometimes.
That's right.
And what else do we have? I think that's all my questions, because the Nepo baby question was we ended up putting
Perfect.
up top. So yeah, I have a couple of things. I have. Just,
what about Bring It On?
Oh yeah, bring it on.
They don't say Bring It
That's
On.
what they say, right?
No, she goes Bring It, and then the other girl goes like I always do, something like that.
Yeah.
So Bring It On's not even in the
No.
movie.
I like when they say it, because then I'm like
Yeah,
the Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meme. I just have a couple notes. I wrote kid with the leather jacket has a great fit. I think that was Peter. He's maybe honestly the costume designs in this movie overall really, really good.
Really good.
There's a lot of great outfits in this movie.
Very
and the red hat.
motley crew of kids, you
Yeah.
know.
The one kid has like a bandana, like it's a whole big thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I also wrote why did the driver randomly show back up an hour in? Oh, we didn't talk about the Hawks coach at all. He's iconic.
Oh, I love him.
He is telling his team to go hurt the other team.
He's from My Cousin Vinny. He's the DA.
Yeah, he's the DA. Yeah, so I mean that guy, he's out of control.
How many coaches out there are like that? A lot.
Well, yeah, obviously he's turned up to 11 version of. Honestly, I feel like he's like an evil twin of your dad. Like I feel like your dad would be that intense.
My dad was more of an assistant coach vibe.
Okay, Mickey.
No, well,
Was
Mickey
Mickey
played
the head coach?
No, it was Ed.
Okay. I feel like he's probably a good version of. He's that intensity, but good intentions.
We've all us sports people have had coaches like that.
Yeah, where while the Ducks are chanting quack quack quack, he's chanting win win win.
Win.
Yeah.
And then it's like it's not a real win unless it's a blowout.
Yeah, he's like we don't want to when they're up like 6-0. He's like that's not good enough. We should be crushing them. They win 17-0.
Yeah.
That guy's great. He reminds me of Martin Cove,
from Cobra Kai.
Sensei Kreese from Karate Kid, sweep the leg, all that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Hawks coach is amazing.
Martin Cove of Dancing with the Stars fame.
Yeah, he was like one of the first. Was he the first one that got
Yeah.
voted off?
Yes.
Good for him, man.
You're there. They see you. Okay,
Yeah,
bye.
we got to do the Karate Kid.
We got to do Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, we're gonna start next week on our Patreon.
Yeah, right. I do love Karate Kid though. We should watch it.
Yes,
I saw most of it.
I also wrote. Why didn't they just do the flying V every time?
Yeah, tush push vibe.
Because we didn't really talk about the flying V exactly. So they all just line up in a V and then they just pass the puck back and forth to each other and then they score in the final. Like, why did they just do that every time?
Why didn't they have more plays? Because they
Yeah.
stunk.
And every time they ran a play, they scored.
Yeah.
And including the play that was just Tammy stands in a circle and spins
around and
then
they all get distracted.
And then, but not only did they get distracted, it's not like they get distracted and then they pass it to the other side.
No, she then scores.
They pass it to her.
Yeah.
And she scores.
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense because they're staring at her.
Yeah. And she scored. But yeah, so I actually know the real answer, which is in real hockey, it's illegal because you can't check people who don't have the puck. So when they're like attacking the other people that are trying to get the puck, that's not legal.
Got it.
It's a penalty. But if they didn't get called for it here, so why don't they try it over and over again?
I don't see why not.
Maybe they do in the sequels. All right. Roger Ebert, as I mentioned, gave it 2 stars out of 4. He says he's ahead of his time on this one, as always. The Mighty Ducks is the kind of movie that might have been written by a computer program. It tells a story that has been told time and time and time again about the misfit coach who was handed a team of kids who are losers and turns them into winners while redeeming himself. I actually disagree with Ebert on that because they're not losers. Like they don't start
They
as
just
losers.
haven't won yet.
They haven't won yet. Even the usual supporting characters are here. The opposing coach who persecuted the hero when he was a kid, the kid who has a divorced mother that the hero falls in love with, the tough rebel kid who only needs to channel his anger. He also says, the screenplay by Stephen Brill leaves nothing to chance.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a single surprise in the film. Not even one small one to show he's a good sport. We march in lockstep past the obligatory flashbacks to Estevez's own childhood when an evil coach made him feel worthless after he missed an important shot. Of course, the same villain is now coaching the opponents of the Ducks. There are more obligatory stops on the way to the end. All leads to the big playoff games, no prizes for predicting which team wins or whether everything depends on a big final shot, or which coach makes a stirring speech about how it doesn't matter so much whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. It must be said that this movie is sweet and innocent and that at a certain level it might appeal to younger kids. I doubt if its ambitions reach much beyond that. Which is true.
Yep.
Which is, yeah, that's fine.
He's about right.
It's a Disney movie.
Yep.
I don't think there's any disrespect there. Maybe a little bit, but I have just 3 trivias. Tom's top 3 trivia today.
Okay.
I have so Adam Banks, who's the kid from the Hawks who comes over to the Ducks because they like misdrew the residency for where each player gets to play. He's often referred to as a cake eater.
Yeah.
Especially by the pitcher from the Sandlot.
Mm-hmm.
This term is actually well known throughout Minnesota, and it refers to people who live in the city of Edina, a suburb of Minneapolis. A cake eater is saying a person is so rich they can have their cake and eat it too. It also implies that the city wins so many tournaments they always take the cake.
There you go.
So he's like a star. His parents are more well off than the kids that are on the Ducks, and so yeah, he's a cake eater.
I didn't realize that gerrymandering would be in this movie.
I know. Yeah, exactly. The original script was darker and emphasized Gordon Bombay's drinking. This is why his name is a combination of the 2 famous gin brands, Gordon and Bombay.
Ah, that's funny.
Yep.
It is a good movie name.
It is a really good movie name. In the beginning, we were like, it's like seems kind of racist.
Yeah.
Because his last name is like Bombay, India.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see them coming from the gin standpoint.
Yeah, sure.
Especially knowing where the movie came from. And even where it's at with him getting a DUI. Like, it kind of makes sense. And finally, the courtroom scenes filmed in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Is that Charlie St. Cloud?
Yeah.
Were dressed up to give it a more hockey feel, which included adding small black circles that looked like hockey pucks near the ceiling architecture. And instead of taking stuff like that down, they kept the courthouse.
I would too.
They kept the courthouse like that.
Why not?
Casting. So for Connie, who ended up being Marguerite Moreau, who was, if you've seen Wet Hot American Summer, she was in that. She's been in some stuff. Juliette Lewis was considered for that role. That would be 2 years before Cape Fear, which she was nominated for, right?
I think so.
Charlie. This is a big role. This is a big what if here. Jake Gyllenhaal was unknown at the time, and he auditioned, but his parents wouldn't let him do it.
Ah.
And Joshua Jackson actively beat out Leonardo DiCaprio for this role.
Joshua Jackson was good in this.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
But I think it's hilarious that it wasn't like a lot of them were like, oh, this person was considered, or this person had the role and dropped out. It's like, no, Joshua Jackson.
He won.
1-on-1, face off. We're going with our hockey references. Shootout. He beat Leonardo DiCaprio.
Good for him.
Where's this man's Oscar?
I don't know.
And finally, Gordon, Charlie Sheen declined. Stephen Brill, as we mentioned, requested to play him, and Disney was like, nah.
We don't know you, bro.
And Bill Murray was considered a team too old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He would have been fine in this type of role, but too old. And finally, I have my deep dive, which is I watched part of just last year, I guess for the 20-ish anniversary, they did an E60 on the Mighty Ducks.
Oh, cool.
It was called Mighty Ducks Once Upon a Time in Anaheim. So I watched a little bit of it, and I did a little bit more of some independent research. So here's the story. I love the story of the movie that became a franchise, especially like being a big sports fan. So the current NHL commissioner, Gary Bettman, said that the day before he became commissioner, the NHL awarded a franchise to a team in Miami, which became the Florida Panthers, and to Disney, who would create the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. And this was 2 months after the Mighty Ducks movie came out and was doing really well. They paid $50 million for the franchise, half of which went to the Los Angeles Kings because they were sharing the Southern California market with them, which I found interesting too. There was a big press conference when they unveiled the name. Goofy showed up.
Oh, Goofy was there?
He had a giant hockey puck, and he took a big photo op with Michael Eisner with the giant hockey puck. They announced that they would play at the pond in Anaheim, like the duck pond.
Yeah.
Eisner also led the entire audience in a synchronized duck call.
Okay.
So there was a reaction to this in the media, and here are some of the headlines from around the country, or actually from around the continent. The Montreal Gazette headline was, "The Mighty What?" The Orange County Register's headline was, "Nickname idea already ruffles feathers." And the Calgary Herald's was, "The day hockey died."
Oh, that's a little intense.
Well, I mean, their team name is the Flames. Of course they're intense.
Oh my gosh.
Their first game started strong with a 20-minute pregame show that was sort of like a Disney on Ice type thing,
I love that.
and it cost around $450,000.
As it should.
Not only did they lose the game to the Stanley Cup contender Detroit Red Wings 7-2, but they also lost the Iceman.
Who's the Iceman?
Who's the Iceman? He was one of their mascots along with the Wild Wing, but this one was just a guy. He was dressed in like glitter, thick face paint, dark sunglasses, and a hat decorated with these like phony ice crystals. He had bejeweled jeans and skates. Since he couldn't skate, he had spiked tennis shoes instead, and it was like a total disaster. At the pregame, he emerged from like a futuristic looking machine that they said was a prop from Disneyland, probably from like the Tomorrowland or whatever. Is that a thing in Disneyland?
Mm-hmm.
And he came out to whip the crowd into a frenzy, have them blow into their complimentary duck calls to bring out Wild Wing from the rafters. So like they did the whole thing, and then it was to call out the other mascot.
But I don't get it.
Throughout the game, he struggled singing, talking, and playing his guitar because the sound system screwed up. And because of how badly the Mighty Ducks started losing, he got booed by the fans, and he was let go after the game.
I kind of love him.
He did an I didn't write it here. He did an interview with I think the Orange County Register in like 2014, and it was the first time that he had ever like revealed his identity. And he just said like it was like he's just like a regular performer.
It's
And he
like
was
a gig.
This was just my one thing I did for, you know. He's like, every time I ride past the stadium, I give it the middle finger. But he is a good sport about it. Obviously,
That's
20
so
years later.
fun.
Yeah, the season went pretty roughly too. Although the Ducks were like reasonably competitive, they were expected to be the worst team in the league, along with the Panthers, obviously. But they finished just a couple of games outside of a playoff berth. They reached the Stanley Cup in 02-03 and lost to the Devils. I actually watched that Stanley Cup. I remember that series. The Ducks never reached those heights again under Disney leadership, who sold the team in 2005. The new owners changed the team name to just the Anaheim Ducks in 2006. And when did they win their first and only Stanley Cup?
That year.
Just 2 years after being sold by Disney, and the first year they were simply the Ducks after the 2006-07 season, where they defeated the Ottawa Senators in 5 games.
Here you go.
The Mighty Ducks, champions. Not even. The Ducks, champions.
What a team.
They're still around. They're still rebuilding.
Quack, quack, quack.
I would like to go to a Ducks game now.
I would go.
Now that I've seen this movie.
Yeah, I'd go.
Yeah, so that's all I got, I think.
Okay.
Oh, the tagline.
Oh, yeah.
I
Is there a good one?
taglines. There's a pretty good one. They can't skate. They can't win. They can't be serious.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, so that's all I got with the Mighty Ducks. Got anything else?
Nope.
Final thoughts?
Good movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie. Does the Mighty Ducks make baby's first watch list?
Yeah.
I was gonna joke and say no because we have our friends who are like begging us to watch this movie and are begging us to watch D2.
I can't watch D2 yet.
I need to let this one sit and ruminate a little bit.
Yeah, I really need to analyze it fully.
I got to make sure I fully understand the Mighty Ducks before I
Yeah.
get to D2, the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, and then D3, the Mighty Ducks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes it. It's a good movie. It's fun for kids, even though there's like some slightly risque stuff in it.
Yeah, not too bad.
But it's not bad. It's like stuff that kids don't even think about, I feel like.
They like have a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition.
Joke,
Like,
yeah. Yeah. There's a couple curses,
Yeah.
but it's nothing
crazy.
Nothing wild. Just, the main character has 2 references to alcohol in his name, but whatever.
Whatever. It's the 90s.
It's the 90s. This movie is certainly of the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's that 80s hangover period, no pun intended, I guess.
Definitely.
Into the 90s where it was sort of 80s, but we're developing our 90s attitude.
90s swag.
Yeah, 90s swag. Yeah, so this was the Mighty Ducks, and next week we are going to do a similar movie. Another Oscar contender,
Yep.
just like Mighty Ducks.
Yep.
Another movie with a director who has had a member of the Sheen family in his films, because Martin Sheen was in The Departed.
True.
We're going to go with Killers of the Flower Moon. So you have a full week to watch the movie, so you should be able to get it done.
We should be able to get it done.
We should be able to get it done.
See.
It will probably take us 4 or 5 nights.
Yeah, probably around there.
It's long. It's on Apple TV Plus I think as this episode comes out. And it's Martin Scorsese. It's Leonardo DiCaprio, who lost out on the Mighty Ducks role. to Joshua Jackson.
And he's probably going to lose out on a nomination this year.
He might lose out on an Oscar nomination.
Mhm.
And then also, stay tuned next week, which we'll talk about in the Killers episode. Thursday, the 25th, we will be coming out with our Oscar nominations reaction. We're going dark on the 23rd. We're going to have Uncle Nick P on at night. We're sending in our predictions. We're going to see who got the most predictions right. Erin did one last year, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So we're going to do it again. And we're going to watch all 45 hours of the Killers of the Flower Moon miniseries movie.
Exactly.
So thank you for listening to Mighty Ducks, and we will see you next week for our Oscars React and for Killers of the Flower Moon.
Okay, quack, quack.
Quack, quack.